So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to my partners who have come together today for a vote on the Right to Contraception Act. In particular, I would like to thank Leader Schumer for his tremendous vision and leadership on this issue, and my partners on this legislation, Senators Hirono and Duckworth, and Senators Kaine and Baldwin, my colleagues on the HELP Committee for their continued support. And thank you to the tremendous partners here today who are fighting for reproductive justice and freedom each and every day. Minnie Timaraju, President of Reproductive Freedom for All, Virginia State Delegate Sia Price, and Karen Stone, Vice President of Public Policy and Government Relations at Planned Parenthood. Just 2 years ago this month, the Supreme Court majority overturned Roe versus Wade. In doing so, this extremist Supreme Court overturned decades of settled precedent to strip away the constitutional right to abortion. On June 24, 2022, Americans had one less right than they did on June 23, 2022. But Dobbs wasn't just about abortion. It was an opening salvo in Republicans' anti-freedom, anti-rights war. In his concurring opinion in Dobbs, Justice Clarence Thomas distilled the threat to American freedom. He outlined a long-held MAGA extremist belief that Americans had too many privacy rights under the United States Constitution, that the Supreme Court erred in recognizing those rights, and that the court should take them away. The rights he was talking about: the right to marry who you love and the right to contraception. Dobbs was an invitation to continue attacking American freedom to make decisions about health and personal freedom. And this extremist court put contraception on the chopping block. And so the MAGA extremists, offended by American freedom, began their march attacking Americans' freedom. Texas Republicans gutted Medicaid coverage of emergency contraception. Idaho Republicans blocked health clinics in public schools from providing contraception. Republicans, governors are vetoing state efforts to protect the right to contraception. In June of 2022 and 2023, Senate Republicans blocked my attempts to pass the Right to Contraception Act on the floor of the Senate. 195 House Republicans voted against the Right to Contraception Act. In outlining the Trump 2025 agenda, if he wins, the Heritage Foundation made one of their goals restricting access to contraception. It's in the Trump 2025 agenda. And when asked whether he supports restrictions on a person's right to contraception, Trump said he would have to look at it. Democrats and the vast majority of Americans don't have to look at it. It's settled. A 2023 poll found that 88% of Americans said birth control was morally acceptable, including 86% of Republicans and 93% of Democrats. We know contraception isn't contraband. We know that access to contraception, the pill, Plan B, IUDs, are essential for people's health care. We know contraception is fundamental to economic and social freedom. And after all, it was the Biden administration that made sure birth control pills are available over the counter. We are the ones fighting for greater affordability and better access to care, and we are the ones fighting to protect this important right by blocking Republicans' relentless appetite for inserting themselves into Americans' private lives. I introduced the Right to Contraception Act with my partners in reproductive freedom, Senators Hirono and Duckworth, as our own prophylactic to extremist attacks on contraception access. The Right to Contraception Act guarantees Americans have the freedom to get contraception and for health providers to give it. The right to contraception free from federal and state governmental threats, and the dignity to choose what contraception works best for them and their families. The Right to Contraception Act would help us unwind decades of reproductive coercion facilitated by bad Supreme Court decisions, attacks on reproductive justice, and divestment in the health care of black, brown, immigrant, LGBTQ, disabled, low-income, and rural Americans. It would help us. It would help us to undo the legacy of forced birth and medical experimentation on enslaved women, involuntary sterilization of disabled Americans, and the coercive testing of birth control on black and Puerto Rican women. Passing the Right to Contraception Act would be a clear and unequivocal statement for health freedom and for justice for everyone in our country. Republicans will try to say they support the right to contraception. Well, we are calling their bluff yet again by bringing this bill up for a vote this afternoon. And this vote poses one simple question. Do you believe Americans' access to birth control should be protected, yes or no? And each senator that votes no will be on the record on what they support, contravening Americans' right to contraception. A no vote will show the American people how extreme and out of touch their views on reproductive rights are. A no vote will prove what the GOP really stands for, gutting our protections. The American people will remember who protected their reproductive rights today. They will remember who fought for their freedom today. They will remember who voted yes to the Right to Contraception Act. So we thank all of you who are here today, who are supporting this effort. It is historic. The Dobbs decision was a preview of coming atrocities in protections for the American people. That's why we're here today. And now I give